Let's go ahead and get started here. My name's Confirm Your Speaking Language. No, I'm not going to do that.
That was, I
I've
got
never
that.
seen that before. Yeah, and it suggested Arabic. I would be come up short in Arabic, I think. We still have people arriving. My name's Jeff O'Keefe. I'm the executive director of Zen Peacemakers, and I know some of you, and those that I don't, welcome for the first time. Thanks for joining a Zen Peacemakers event. Uh, please, 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 it's utterly free to become a member of Zen Peacemakers. If you're not, go to the website and just click, 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 and become a member. Be sure to subscribe to the newsletter. That's how we let you know what we're doing. And it's free also. We don't sell the list. Nobody will get your name. And it is rarely brilliant, but usually informative. So do those things. We are so happy today to have our friend Jacqueline Kramer returning now to do a series of 4 of these sessions this same time every week on Thursday, whatever time it is for you. So, and she's going to tell you about those. Please join us for all of them. Everything we do other than our in-person bearing witness retreats is free. So what could be better? So I'm gonna mute myself and turn off my camera. I will be here if we have any issues, but I'm gonna turn this over to my friend Jacqueline with my deep gratitude for her offering to our community. Thanks, Jacqueline.
You're most welcome, Jeff. Thank you for this opportunity. Where am I going to put my board? I'll put it there. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Hi. And there's still people coming in. Oh, it looks like Jeff got that one. It's like whack-a-mole, it's kind of fun to let people in the room. It's like, oh, can I get to it in time? Okay.
And Jacqueline, I can take care of that while I'm here, so you don't have to
Okay.
worry about it. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, so this is the first, as Jeff said, in a series of 4 classes on journaling. I'm very excited about it. Today's class, today's workshop, is about getting started. So we'll talk about stuff like materials and orientation to drawing, a Zen orientation to drawing. So this is both, it's really a great opportunity for me because I've taught art a lot, but never and I've taught meditation a lot, but never in combination. So this is like really my jam. I'm I'm totally into this. I wanted to let you know the format is I'm going to do a PowerPoint and share some thoughts with you about drawing. And then we'll meditate for 10 minutes. And then we'll go right from meditation into drawing for 10. No, we'll meditate for 5 minutes, excuse me. And then we'll go right into drawing from meditation. And then we'll come reconvene and have a conversation and talk about, have any questions or comments or share whatever is on your mind. So I'd like, if with a smaller group, I like each person to be able to just introduce themselves, but with this big group it would take a long time. So if you could, I'd love for you to, in the chat option, just say your name or something, or who you are and where you are in the world, because I know there's people from a lot of different places, and that's always fun to see who's there to take a look and see. I'll go into the chat. Okay. Somebody said, will we have access to the recording? Oh, goodness. All right.
Yes, you will.
And the answer is yes. And Lucia is in London, and Renee in Los Angeles, and oh, it's going so fast. Kiki in Ontario, Canada, and Donna in Palos Verdes, and Marita in Seattle. Oh, my eyes. Blue Ridge Mountains, Portugal, New Zealand, Florida, Germany, New Zealand. Wow, that's so great. Isn't it a miracle? I'll tell you. I could just trip out on that for a long time. But I will spare you. Okay. So, well, I look forward to hopefully getting to know all of you better as the series goes on, for those of you who will be joining each Thursday at 9 o'clock. But it's not necessary to take all of the series, because they're each individual, and I'll be explaining what they will be in a little bit later. But so the bedrock. So what this particular workshop is about, it's about starting a journal that is both for drawing and for capturing ideas and thoughts that that come during the day that you want to hang on to. Thoughts are like butterflies, and if you don't catch them, they're on to the next place. And so what a journal offers you is a place to catch those wonderful things that come to you throughout the day. And so what today I'd like to talk about is a few possible approaches about journaling there. And of course, this is just a few of them, and there's more, I'm sure, but it will hopefully spark some interest and imagination in you for what you want, because it's a very personal thing. And so I'm going to share with you what some other people have done, and some other approaches that might be useful to you. So the first thing I want to say, because we are in Zen Peacemakers, and that's wonderful entry into making art, is not knowing. And so the three Zen Peacemakers tenets: not knowing, bearing witness, and compassionate action. Starting any drawing with not knowing, or anything, is the doorway to creativity. And John Cage said, not knowing cheers the knowing. And so any field, but especially with art, because that's what we're talking about today, we want to develop the art of not knowing and enter our work from that place. So I'm going to do share screen, and I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you. Okay. So how do I get this started? Here we go. Okay. All right, there we go. Let me put this a little bit off to the side. Okay. So this series is about drawing seeing, which was it's a phrase that was coined by Frederick Franz, and I'll share his book with you later. And he was a Zen practitioner who did these couple beautiful books on journaling. And so this is a drawing scene, which is his term, the joy and suffering of life through journaling. just some examples of pages of people's journals here. Let me see, how do I do this? Okay, that's good. All right, let's see. Okay, so the focus of this approach to journaling is cultivating joy. We talk about bearing witness as bearing witness to suffering, but it's also bearing witness to joy, and that's really just as important. And there needs to be a balance there. And art is a wonderful doorway into joy. And so I wanted to share this quote with you by Lucy Greeley. She wrote, now I knew that joy was a kind of fearlessness, a letting go of expectations that the world should be anything other than what it is. And I felt I'd at last discovered the means with which to actively seek out this kind of being, this kind of beauty. This is from her Autobiography of a Face book. She's a poet and a writer who had joy, who had joy, who had cancer in her in her on her in her face, and at 9 years old, and they took out a huge portion of one side of her face, leaving her face distorted and creating at that age a lot of pain, both physical and emotional, as people reacted to her like she was a monster. And here she's a little girl. And she has the ability to really speak very, very lucidly and beautifully about her experience. So her joy is coming out of immense suffering. And I think that that's really a wonderful inspiration for cultivating joy in our lives, that it could come out of suffering as it does here, and the importance and also what it is. It's a fearlessness, because it's easier to give in to the pain and suffering sometimes than to go through the alchemy of transformation. So, nuts and bolts, materials. Today, I hope you just have some kind of paper and some kind of writing implement, but I wanted to share some information about materials for your journaling. So, let me see here. When you pick a journal, find one that is unlined, because and doesn't have any quotes or like things, because it's your space and it's a space for you. You want to start with the blank page, with the unknown. And so a journal in this respect is really useful to have something that doesn't have anybody else's thoughts in it already. And you can look for different kinds of paper. Some paper is smooth and works well with your pen, or thicker paper. If you like to add watercolor to your journal, you want to get a watercolor journal. So paper makes a difference. Allow the sensuality of the paper to inform your work. So I suggest you could go to an art supply store, or some bookstores have journals, but it's really nice to be able to find one that works that gives you pleasure. You pick a size that appeals to you. I have a number of them. I have one I keep in my car that's really small. I also have a really big one. Different sizes offer different value. Like a really small size, you could put it in your purse, you could put it in the car, wherever. And you want to keep your journal with you, because You never know when inspiration's going to hit, or you're going to see something that you just want to mark down, or you're going to hear something that you want to mark down. So a smaller size is really good for that. A larger size is good for stretching out, which is kind of nice. I like to paint really large because I feel it's body size. But you want something where you don't feel cramped. Some people feel more comfortable in a smaller space. Some people like to have, kind of a landscape space or a vertical space. So there's a lot of different journals you can choose from. And I suggest that you give it some thought about what feels good to you. And then you drawing tools. So anything from, you could start with like graphite pencils, which are just pencils, and a little bit of information on that. There's H and there's B. You may have seen that on pencils. H is for hard and B is the soft pencil. And the higher the number, the harder or softer it is. So you might want to just get a couple pencils if you want to work on pencil and try what feels right. A hard pencil will give you a very sharp line. A softer pencil will give you a more artistic fluid line, but can get smudgy if it gets really soft. So you want to play around with different kinds of pencils. And another option for using to mark is drafting pens. And so the drafting pens, I like Micron and Copic. And I keep a little pouch that you can get over Amazon with a couple of marking tools right with my journal. But it's really fun to find the pens and pencils that feel good when you're writing, that you enjoy. Another thing to play with is pen and ink. That is not as portable because you have a little pot of ink, but you get very beautiful, thick, thin lines and very dark, dark black. And so it's really fun to play with that, to play with like a brush and some ink. And then watercolors. So you need to have watercolor paper or else the paper gets all crumbly and wrinkly. But it's really can be really fun to, like, when you're out in the field or you're out in your day and you do a drawing and then you bring it home and you put watercolor over it. It could be a lot of fun and it could be very beautiful. So those are some ideas about materials. And what I suggest is, if you have any questions or about the materials, to write it down, and when we get to the end, you can ask me any questions about materials that you'd like. So here's that fellow I was talking about, Frederick Frank, who wrote the Zen of Seeing. And he writes, scene drawing, that's what he calls it, is an inscape from the overloaded switchboard. It establishes an island of silence, an oasis of undivided attention, an environment to recover in. I love that. And I love that cat in somebody's journal. I think that's just such a sweet drawing. And it also speaks to, it's not about making something, exactly how it looks. I'm sure that the cat's hair doesn't look like that, but she really captured the ease and quietness of that moment in the cat's life. So when you keep a journal, it's not about making beautiful paintings that people are going to see and you're going to put up on your wall. It's a very different orientation. The orientation is about process, not product. Don't be afraid of compromising the poetic nature of your journal by including the debris of daily life. That's a quote by Hannah Hinchman, who has also wrote a couple books on journals and journaling. And at the end of this PowerPoint, the names of these books will be put on. And I don't know if there's a way to get that information to you in another way, but I'll stay for a second with the other ones and you can write them down if you're interested in any of those books. So the idea is to just not judge yourself at all when you're drawing, and you don't need your editing eye, and you don't need anybody else's editing eye either when you're journaling. So I just took this shot of a piece of my journal, and I was at Kaiser at the medical center, and I was there waiting for an appointment, and I saw this older guy talking with the woman, and I wanted to kind of see if I could catch his how he was standing, and that you could see that he wasn't feeling well from the back of his body. So I just wanted to try and get that really fast. And obviously this is not like a drawing that, it's a very different kind of approach to drawing than an art school kind of drawing. So I want to invite you to experiment. Your journal is a place where you can try out a lot of different things. I'd like to do this sometimes too, these little boxes, and you say, well, how would it look if I did it this way? Or how would it look if I did it this way? What if I added that? Just little sketches of ideas that you think you might want to try out. This is a place to make lots of mistakes, to try anything, no censorship, freedom. It's about freedom. There's so many places where we have to be so careful, and we have to have our stuff together, and we have to say it properly, and we can't make anybody bad. And our journal is a place to just let ourselves be who we are, and to experiment with whatever is in our mind. There are no bad ideas in a journal. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Before, just a second, I'm going to go back there. So it's a place to be messy and imperfect, and just drawing to draw, just writing to write. And a journal, as I'm talking about it here, you combine writing and you combine drawing, and there's no, the only order is however feels good to you. There's no right or wrong way to do that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the future, other things that we're going to address more in detail. So March 7th, we're going to talk about words and drawing, using words as inspiration for drawing in your journal. So here's some things. The fox picture was done by a Cohen teacher that I know on a fox Cohen. And then here's another drawing done by a Cohen teacher on each branch of coral holds up the moon. It's really wonderful to take little bits of haiku, to take a haiku, to take a koan, to take a piece of a poem or a quote, and to use that as inspiration for drawing. So on March 7th, that's what we're going to be doing. And then March 14th, the Thursday after that, we're going to talk about drawing from nature and go outside and do a little drawing outside and different approaches to drawing from nature. And then on the 21st, and I just came up with this today, we're going to do abstract drawing. We're going to talk about, you know, how does the artist approach abstracting drawing? How does the artist, what are the elements that they're working with? It's a lot like playing jazz music, doing abstract drawing. It's the same kind of improvisational thinking that goes on where you're like with jazz, you start with a song and then you extrapolate from that. With visual art, these are things like the middle one. I started with mycelium. Somebody just came in. I'm really interested in mycelium, and so I abstracted from that. And so, but just like with jazz music, there are elements to learn, to like how you use the edge, how you think about the edges of the paper, what colors you use, how dark, the light. There's a lot of different design elements to think about while you're improvising. Okay. So here's a list of 3 books that I really, really like. And they're beautifully written, and they all have examples of journals in them. And so The Zen of Seeing by Frederick Frank is very much focused on, yeah, if you take a screenshot or something of it, if you want to look up these books. It's very much, it's a black and white book, and he just writes beautifully about being in the moment. I really highly recommend. He has a number of books out. That's his first one. The second one, A Life in Hand, Creating the Illuminated Journal by Hannah Hinchman, is really, she has such a beautiful approach to journaling, and she writes really beautifully too. And so it's a really inspiring book. And then, oh, well, okay. Excuse me. I have a dog that's barking. Okay. Life. I'm having some renovations done and it's very busy here. Then the third book that I recommend is Keeping a Nature Journal. Discover a whole new way of seeing the world around you. And it's just really beautiful. And it really speaks to how wonderful it is. I find with drawing that I become very intimate with the places and the things that I'm drawing. There's a connection that happens, a unification that happens when you sit down with a flower, say, and just really see that flower. Don't just say daisy, but you know, it has a pointed thing here, but the other one's round, and to see it as an individual. And it's a very intimate experience that translates to other things in your life. And it's very grounding, and it's very centering, and it's very relaxing, and brightening. It's almost psychedelic. Almost. But anyway, so it's just a beautiful way to connect with the world. So here's the future classes. You could go to Zen Peacemakers. Each class has to be signed up individually. So you sign up for the ones that you're interested in, and being in this class doesn't automatically put you into the other ones. And if you would like to be on my list for future classes in my virtual studio, you can send me an email, because after this series, I'm going to be putting together like a 1 day a week kind of a drawing group. Okay. And that's that. All right, so now I'm going to stop share. There we go. I can see you again. Oh, that's nice to see you. Oh. Okay, so here's what we're going to do next. So that's hopefully a little bit of background and a little bit of inspiration for you for your journaling. Hi, Sandy. And so what we're going to do now is we'll meditate for 5 minutes. I'm going to do a guided meditation with you, and then like kind of like, you know how when you're teaching a kid how to ride a bike, you kind of get behind them and push, and then you let go and off they go. So that's how I work with meditation in a group, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll do that for 5 minutes. I'll ring the bell at the beginning. I'll do 2 rings at the end. And after meditation, I'm going to let you go off for 10 minutes. Don't go far, so make sure you can hear when we're reconvening. And what I'd like you to do is to just draw anything, whatever it could be, the wall, the couch across from where you're sitting. It could be, a coffee cup, whatever it is. Just what I'd like you to do is to just kind of get to know it in a different way, and really look at it, really look at what's in front of you, and just, without any judgment about what you're drawing, just make those notes of what it is that's in front of you. Are there any questions about that from anybody before we get started? Okay. All right, then get into a comfortable place. And I am going to set the timer for me to be the timekeeper. Let's see here. Set timer. I'm going to do it for 5 minutes. Okay. All right. So get comfortable, and we'll get started. So just kind of feel the chair under your body. Feel where your body touches the couch or chair. And if your feet touch the floor, be aware of the floor. What does it feel like right now to have your feet on the floor? And just be aware generally of your body. If you feel any tight spots, just be aware of it without changing anything, but just let it be. And be aware of your feet, where they're touching, that sensation of touching. Be aware of your legs. Be aware of your shoulders. Relax your arms. Relax your fingers. And feel your face. And if there's any tension, just let it release. From that place, be aware of the sounds in the room. Whether it's a garbage truck or the hum of the house. Traffic. Just let all the sounds exist like you're listening to a symphony without any judgment about good or bad. And from that place, be aware of your breathing without changing it. Just notice the in breath, the out breath. Feel the coolness of the air as you breathe in, the warmth when you exhale. And just be aware of any sensations or thoughts that might arise without any judgment. Just be aware of them and watch them come and go. And then bring yourself back if you find yourself drifting to your body sitting in the chair. So now you can move into with staying in the same place that you're in right now. Find your pencil and your paper and whatever's in front of you. Enjoy it. And we'll reconvene in 10 minutes. Okay. Come on back. Should I ring a bell? Maybe I should ring a bell. I'll ring a bell. All right. Hmm. So this is the time when we can just talk with each other, ask any questions, make any comments. Okay, we got someone in the reading room. There we go. And my dog is here licking me. I don't know why, because he never licks me. I will show you to him. There we go. Okay. So I think the best way to do this is if you want to say something, ask something, comment on something, whatever. Under the reactions, there is a raise hand option. And so you can just use that to let me know that you have something you'd like to share. And until then, until somebody has something, oh, somebody shared their heart with us. That's sweet. Thank you. Alan or Annette, Alan. Okay. And I'm going to sit and have tea with you now. Okay, Renee, can you unmute yourself?
Sure. This is very intimidating for me because I am not the slightest bit artistic. And so drawing is just overwhelming for me.
Mm.
And I think I thought when I signed up for this, it was more about the journaling than it was about the art.
Mm.
And so I'm not quite sure how to deal with this. Maybe somebody can give me some advice.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place. I'll start there. And you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You can have your journal be all about writing. This is a drawing writing workshop. And so the drawing that's why that's the emphasis. Journals of course, don't have to have any drawing at all. But I'd like to say something about that because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the idea of drawing. And it's natural to draw. Children do it. And we just have to be brave enough to allow ourselves to be imperfect and not make things that look like things that to draw for just the sake of drawing, just for the joy of playing. And so I would invite you to not think of that you're going to have to show somebody something or that there's a right way to do it. To let go of all those kinds of ideas and just do it for yourself. Just do it because you like the way the pen feels, because you like to look at something in that kind of a way. What happens? What if where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You took your hand down. I lost you. And I taught art in a senior center for many years, and I got that kind of a lot of people felt the way that you're expressing, Renee, that you feel too. I think you're in really good company. And I think a lot of people who don't know anything about art are teaching art to children. That's what I think. And screwing them up left and right, but don't get me started on that. I mean, I had an experience where when I was in elementary school where my mother sent me to a drawing class and the teacher had us draw a bunny and there was a certain way that it had to be done. And I was having none of that. And I just drew a bunny. And and she said, no, that's wrong. And I did not start drawing again until college. Okay. I didn't even go to college to be an art major. I became an art major because I didn't have to read books if I was an art major. So, so anyway, I just want to acknowledge, Renee, that you're in good company with that feeling, and it's bullshit. It's something that somebody taught you that they should just have not said anything. And for some reason it really sticks in people in most people for most people, those kinds of, you're doing it wrong comments really stick. So I would invite you to just gently play without anybody looking at what you're doing. And you might enjoy getting over that misinformation. And what I was going to say before I got off on a tangent is when I taught art to seniors, a lot of them had that same story, a lot of them. And they all very quickly were painting beautiful stuff. It's not a big deal to get over it. It feels like a big hurdle, but it really is just about, oh, that's not true. And then just go play. Okay.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me know how that goes. I'd be real interested.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah. Okay, Annie. Oh, did we lose Annie?
I think she froze.
Oh, there you go. You froze for a second.
I
Hi, Annie.
I did lose him at some point. My, my internet, my internet connection is not stable. Next time I attend class here, I will go into a more stable area. So I did lose you for a while, but I just wanted to say, excuse me, I'm an artist and a writer, and I haven't been making art in about a year because I've had a personal loss. My partner died. I've had to move a lot, and I've just felt like I don't know if it was a luxury, and I wasn't allowing myself the time or feeling like this is worthwhile, but I realize it's nourishing for me when I do it. So today I really appreciated your meditation. From what I heard, I felt very relaxed, and I was just like scribbling, as people used to say in grammar school. Thank you.
That's great, Annie. That's great. I just want to add that I, as an artist, I go through long periods of not painting. And I come when I find that when I come back to painting after not having painted for a long time, um, something has shifted. And not even consciously, but I've shifted. And so I come back to the work differently. So look for that and don't feel bad about taking a year of not, working. It's all working on you, even if you're not working. And you come back to the work with new eyes, and that's kind of refreshing. It's actually, I think there's a natural cycle to it. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I have my. Okay. Kudo.
Hi, everybody. I'm really enjoying this, and one of the reasons I really gravitated to your workshop is that I do both journaling and watercolor, and I'm in one of those phases where I'm not doing either, and I think a lot of it has to do with judgment, and I really relate to what Renee brought up because I don't have that naturally gifted artistic. I mean, I didn't graduate past stick figures, and I was a pen pal with my cousin when we were kids, and she is now a very famous, well-known watercolorist. And, she would send me these beautiful little drawings at the age of 8, and I'd send her back something with little stick figures and a smiling pumpkin or something. For me, what I ended up having to do was kind of find my own way in sort of loose watercolor and collage and some mixed media things that didn't have, like, if you asked me to draw very specific, realistic kind of drawing, it's just my brain doesn't see it in that way. And so I gave myself permission to just, and with watercolor, I found it's so beautiful just putting the blooms of the watercolor together that you get these things that are just, so it fit my judgmental criteria, but I do work all the time with that about my writing. Oh, this was just junk. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of what you were talking about early on about just letting the process instead of, I'm always focused on, did this final picture turn out okay? Does it look like a rose? Rather
Yeah.
than the moment I'm drawing and enjoying it. So I'm really hoping to recapture the joy and not the judgment. So thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Kudo. I think that is the crux of what this is about is drawing for yourself, not for someone else, and drawing for the joy of the bloom of those that you get. And you don't have to, there's a difference between the craft and the art, okay? The craft can be learned, and that is what everybody thinks of. I'm not an artist because I can't draw, realistically. That's not what makes an artist. That's what makes a craftsperson, and that can be learned. And I'll tell you that can be learned because, like I said, I didn't draw until I went to college after that experience as a very little girl. And I learned there how to draw. And it's not even learning, there's so much misinformation about what it is. So being an artist is being available to your environment. And so you are an artist, I can tell. I mean, anybody who is practicing Zen is an artist. And it's just a matter of finding the joy for yourself, not for someone else. It's for your pleasure. And your journal is for your pleasure. So have it be personal, have it be private. You don't have to show it to anybody. It's a place to play. And since you like watercolor, you might enjoy, they have really nice watercolor journals that, so that, yeah, instead of just a piece of watercolor paper, to have a book that has that you go to. It's a place, it's like a room, it's like your den or something, you can make it into a place that you go to and enjoy, and it's for you. Okay, Sharon.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, oh, something about Sharon. Sharon was my friend in college. And so this is particularly fun for me to see her.
Yeah, and this is particularly fun for me too. But I do not draw. I do not draw. And my doodles, people say, are like repetitive. Boring and repetitive. But you know, I love the meditation and I love the concept. This is just an opening another way of looking at the world. So after the meditation, I just looked at a little ceramic cup, I guess, that someone made for me. And I keep pencils in it, but it's very pretty. It's a pretty object. And of course, I really, you know, if you were to look at it, what I drew, you might not know that's what it was because I can't really, you know, draw realistically. But what I found was that looking at the cup, just, you know, let my mind wander and, you know, thought about it was kind of like an extension of the meditation, looking at the cup and because the cup has memories and time and space and, you know, it was just a really nice experience. I think I will enjoy this. I think my journal might have more words in it because I like words, but it is a nice experience to try to capture it on paper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And you know, it's what I'm trying to introduce here is joy.
Yeah.
So anything that is not joy is not, looks like somebody needs to be admitted back in the room, is not not what this is about. It's not about being right or production or anything. And so, you know, just like, because we're all meditators, which is very cool because it's really helpful in this whole process. Notice when you're making any judgment about what you're doing while you're doing it. And just realize that's just something you're saying, you know, that I don't draw, that's not me, because that's just another thought that's passing through and it and doesn't need to be given any weight, and you just keep going and finding a way, and it may take more than just this 1 hour and a half to do to find a way into the joy of relating to your world in that intimate way. And that's what it is. It's like, and whether you do it with words or with drawing, art, or with music or dance, art is relating to the moment in an intimate way. And as soon
Always
as
use that.
huh?
We always need that. Any way to find a little joy.
Absolutely. Especially now, you know, there's so much suffering and it's so it's so easy to forget and become out of balance. Especially helpers like us, like people who are activists, people who care about the world. We really got to fill up our coffers with joy.
Yeah.
It's really important. And it's important business to have fun. So fun, and you're very good at having fun, Sharon. I know that about you. So yeah. Yeah. Okay, Robin.
Kia ora, that's greetings, hello to everyone from Motueka, New Zealand. When I opened my eyes, I saw the handle on the little tray that I've got here, and I thought, it's a bit strange to draw a handle, but I did. And then I had a verse, a haiku, come to me, which I'll just read. It says, "You hold on tight now. I'm coming, ready or not. Hold you forever." And there's been quite a theme of loss in my life, and my family now live in France, so the other side of the world from me. And so I just thought it was, interesting how that came through from just looking at a handle.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What time is it in New Zealand right now, Robin?
It must be, well, it was 6 a.m. when we started, so
Oh my.
whatever it is
Wow.
now.
6 a.m. of the
7:15.
Friday, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the past. We're the past. Yeah, I think that's great. I love how you uh, uh you know, free associated
Mm.
with what you were doing. Sometimes words will come out of a visual thing. Sometimes a visual will come out of words. And so that's really great how that happened. Thank you. Okay, let's see. How are we doing here? Joe.
Hello, kia ora.
Oh.
I just want to say firstly, thanks to Robin for letting me know about this. I'm also sitting here in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Mm.
And yeah, I had a couple of, well, one little comment and one question for you. So my comment is I'm sitting here with my dog. Well, actually two dogs sitting in my bed. It's very naughty. But I drew my my older dog. Oh, sorry. That's the alarm clock to wake my son up. Yeah, I just that, the intimacy of sitting, drawing another being. I'm not sure that the dog entirely enjoyed it. She got a little bit, I think, a little bit embarrassed, self-conscious. She's gone back to being very relaxed now that I'm not drawing her, but I think that, yeah, just how intimate it can be to draw something else, someone else, and that paying attention that you do for them, as well as, how it brings you into connection with them. I used to sometimes do drawings in a aged care facility and do drawings of people who had dementia. And, I think it was confusing initially to people. But then there was something just about sitting and really looking at somebody and just bringing all your attention in a kind of quite a loving, because there's a sort of loving gaze, I guess, that when you're drawing something. Anyhow, that just came up as I'm sitting here looking at my dog, looking at me now, all loved out. Anyhow, that was the comment. And the question was, I just wondered if you could talk into a little bit more about the unknown, the beginnings of this blank page and the kind of unknown and not knowing space at the beginning.
Yeah,
that's the
one of my
question.
favorite topics. Thank you for that, Joe, for both the comment and the question. Yeah, so not knowing. So all art begins with, if you're a visual artist, it begins with a blank page. There's nothing on it. If you're a musician, it begins with silence. There's no sound. If you're a dancer, it begins with space that is not occupied. Everything begins with not knowing. And I'm just talking about the arts. I mean, every single thing, but I'm just like covering the arts right here. And so something that that it's good to be aware of how we feel when we're in that not knowing space. Sometimes it might be uncomfortable because we think, I have nothing to say. I can't fill this empty space. And that's the time to let go of that let that thought just you know, like a cloud, just pass by and just keep with the emptiness and see what arises. Or fill it with something that is the first thought that arises, you know, that emerges. It's really very beautiful making any kind of art because you're part of the process of creation of something coming out of what, you know, coming out of uh, I guess in Buddhism it would be uh Bodhidharma, not Bodhidharma. I think I'm losing the word, but it's very much about when we meditate, the place that we attend, that we sit. And that's the same place that art comes out of, or great ideas, or writing, or whatever. So it behooves us to become comfortable with not knowing. Not just as artists, but as human beings, because the fact is we don't know what the next second's going to bring. And making art is a great way to practice becoming comfortable with not knowing. Because every white page is new. It's, you know, we have one page after another that we can explore not knowing on. So it's a really safe way to get comfortable with emptiness, which is, I guess that's another word for what it's called. But the emptiness also is the vastness. It's where everything, it has everything and nothing, you know, it's in other religions, it might be called God, but not in Buddhism. It's called emptiness. So art is just making art, and a blank paper is just a beautiful way to feel safe. We could feel safely touch into that not knowing and emptiness. Is that what you were wanting to hear about?
Yes, no, that's beautiful. That's a, you know, that's a practice for me. That approaching the blank canvas, and I just wondered how you know, how you frame that, how you experience that. It's just, yeah, nice little connection to yeah, just I think art has so many similarities with life in general, and then yeah, with the practice. So yeah, it's just nice to hear your description of that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Joe. They really I find for myself in my own painting and Zen practice that they really nourish one another. That and that I really am I find a source of comfort and joy in both of those things. And I think that it's the sitting in the not knowing, because we're always supposed to know what's the answer, get it right, you know. And that's not what you're doing when you're sitting with a blank page. You're not having the answer and getting it right. You're just being with you know, with everything. And same thing when you're meditating. So yeah. How are we doing on time? I have no idea what time it is. Oh, we have more time. Okay, Sandy.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Sorry I didn't have hydro, so I couldn't join earlier. We had a big windstorm and
Oh my.
everything goes down when that happens.
You're in Ontario, aren't you? Is that where you are, Sandy?
So we've gone from 7 above Celsius degrees to minus 20 something in
Wow.
4 hours, and So it's just been flash freeze, high winds, and it's Ontario weather.
Wow.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I really appreciate what you're offering. And so when I looked up, I saw a fan in front of me. So it's like a metal framework of an oscillating fan on a stand. And I thought, that's a little bit, I don't know, hard maybe, or just, but then, and I thought, well, I'll draw this, brought my eye over here, but then my attention kept taking me back to the fan, and I thought, okay, it's the fan. And I noticed that in order to get the definition of the grid work, the darkness came between the grid.
Mm.
I also noticed, like the light that's coming in, and how that when the clouds cover the sun, how my understanding of this fan shifts. So I liked the impermanence of all of that as well, too, while I was going through this experience. And I appreciated your comment about the pause, whenever you have a pause and when you come back, how because you're different, then your interpretation or your relationship with the art shifts. And as a musician, I know that exactly. So when when I've been rehearsing for a concert, I always like to make sure I have that space in between so I can have a gap and then come back to the music, because all of a sudden I have a different relationship with that music, or I know something different about it, about me. And even just the nuance of when you have two of this, I'll say perceived to be same notes or more in a row. What can I do with that to give each of them their own nuance, their own coloring, their own dimension? So I appreciated hearing you talk about that space. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you for drawing that parallel between your music experience and drawing. And I want to commend you on listening to the fan, that it was calling you for whatever reason, and you didn't, and there's not knowing, you didn't know why that fan you wanted to be drawn by you, but you listened to it and you went back to it and you found some really interesting kind of nuances there. Those are some really interesting visual nuances you described. And so that's a great description of the value of not knowing, and how it can, bring you into something new. That's the only way to go into something new, is not knowing, because you don't know new. If it's new, you don't know. Yeah. And I just have to say to the people, look behind Sandy at her plates there. I've been in a lot of groups with Sandy, and those plates have always fascinated me. So I've done 2 large pieces um, uh, inspired by those plates behind Sandy when we were in what's called council. So I'll just to tell you something about my process here. The color of the wall, that really cool kind of a burgundy wine color of that wall, and then the grid of the plates is what was catching me visually. And I don't know, did I show you those paintings, Sandy?
You showed me one briefly, maybe a week or so ago.
Yeah. So I've gotten a lot of material from Sandy's Sandy's plates back there. And that's just to say I did what Sandy described doing, which was I followed what was interesting to my attention. And it may not make any sense to you. Like the fan didn't make sense to Sandy, that why it was too hard to draw. Why does it calling me? Oh, well, I guess I'll listen. And for me, it was like, with hours that we've spent in council together, Sandy and I in our group, I just keep being fascinated by those plates and the color of the wall, And so it's just a demonstration of following what interests you and not questioning it, just, allowing yourself to fall into what interests you visually. Hi, Jeff, how are we doing?
We are at time, so if you're, do you want to sum up a bit, or do you feel like you've already done it?
Yeah. So, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. It's just been such a fun morning for me, and I commend all of you for jumping into the unknown, and like the brave warriors that you are. And I wanted to thank Zen Peacemakers for hosting this workshop and invite you to donate. This is given free, which is great that Zen Peacemakers gives all these wonderful workshops for free. So I encourage you to, if you enjoyed this workshop, to have your thank you be donation to Zen Peacemakers. And one other quick thing is, let me see where it is. In the chat, I put somewhere here, I put, if you want to be on my newsletter list, which will also talk about, I write a monthly newsletter, and I also will share where there is when I'm giving a workshop on that too. So go to awakeningathome.org, and I put it in the chat box, but it looks like it's somewhere in the up somewhere. I did it while we were in the drawing part, and I don't know where it is. I'm looking for it. Oh, well.
We can see it. It's right
Oh,
at
can
the
you see it? Okay. So, yeah, so join my newsletter option, or give me an email if you want to share anything, or sign up for other workshops. And thank you. It's been a delightful morning with you.